Welcome back, guys. Thanks for your interest in learning data analytics using RapidMiner. In the last video, I explained you how to import data from Microsoft Excel. In this video, I will briefly explain you how to select a specific attribute or attributes from the data sheet or the data that is imported to the RapidMiner. For example, when we are conducting analysis, if you want to calculate a relationship between two factors, maybe the target variable and independent variable. Means, for example, if you want to establish a relationship between profits and the total sales that you have created, along with sales, there will be a lot of columns that will be included in the data set. Okay, we will be excluding all those values, all those columns, and we just select sales and profit columns to perform activity. To make that selection, we need to perform certain design. We need to create certain design which performs it. Before starting that, let me tell you one thing. Whenever you use a data set, I recommend you people to use only processed data set. In the last video, if you see that this is my processed data set that we'll be using, because if the data contain any errors that can be fixed when data like the data sheet is processed and included in the RapidMiner. Without processing, if we include, it might contain some errors which might impact our design, and there is a possibility of not executing the design or generating error results. Okay, so let us use only processed data. Here, if you see, this is processed data. This is processed data. I can drag and drop it on process pane. Okay, so by this, I can just simply by running it, I can see whatever the values. No, I need to connect it output to the result sheet. Then I need to, this is button to click, where if I click on it, it will be executing the design. So when I run this design, whatever the data that is existing in the data set, that will be displayed, because nothing is performed. We're just displaying what is the data. Let me try it. So you can see all the data that we are having in the data set is displayed here. Okay, we don't need AJ, AK, AL, AM. These are some XYZ calculations that are made in the document, I guess. So we will be excluding them. We need data till safety standards only. Let me go to design again. So now I want to select, we know that there are some like responses, the workplace, there are certain attributes. We call all column names are attributes. Okay, all column names are attributes. In that, one column will be target value. This is target, whether safety standards are implemented or not, which we are testing. This is in numerical. Usually it should be in binomial, means yes or no option should be included in that. We will be creating in the next videos. The value that is greater than 3 is considered as, less than 3 will, or equal to 3 will be considered no. Okay, so as of now, this is the target variable that we will be considering, and we make selection of employee awareness. Okay, so employee, like I want to select these two attributes and ignore all other attributes. That is my target while designing this analytic part. Okay, you need to have targets whenever you perform something. Without understanding, without motive what to do, you cannot proceed. Okay, so first, for example, you want to select a particular attribute, you should know which attribute should be selected. Without that, it is highly difficult for you to perform any activity. Okay, so I recommend you people to read the kind of data set that is given, and or the data set that you are using, and you need to understand what are the attribute it contains, what is the target attribute, and what are independent attributes. There is possibility of multiple target attributes within the data set, so you need to cross check it properly. Understood? Without that, it will be difficult. Okay, keeping that aside, let me start explaining this selection process. In operators, we will be having a select attribute operator. So come to operators and click CLECT, select attributes. Okay, so you got select attribute, right? Here, this is the select attribute one. Drag it onto the pane. Okay, you can straight away drag it onto the line. When you drag it, it will automatically, it should automatically come. It's fine. Okay, we take output of data set to select attributes means the data that you have is forwarded to the select attribute operator. In that operator, you will be performing certain selection process. Okay, and then select attributes output example set. See here you have example, right? That should be connected to the result. Okay, now select attribute. By default, it will be all. Okay, it will be selecting all the attributes, that all the columns that are in the data set. Okay, now what we do, we will be selecting certain attribute. There are different types of filters that are available to perform. Okay, so each filter has certain explanation. We can discuss in later section. Let me start using subset option. Okay, we need to select certain number of attributes from the given data set. As it is mentioned to you, I will be selecting last column, that is safety measures are implemented, and the other column, that is employees having awareness about safety measures. So I will click on that. When I click it, right, I get all the column details here. Okay, these are the number of columns that we have. In that, employee aware of health and safety is selected, and in S, safety standards implemented. Okay, now I have selected this. Now if I run this design, this is the design which should display me only two columns, that is labor employees having awareness of about the data, about the safety measures implemented, and a column that confirms about implementation of safety measures. Okay, these two things should be displayed. Let me run that. Now you can see that. So this is one column that is displayed, and this is another column that is displayed. What happened to other columns? They are excluded. This is the benefit of select attribute. You can select whatever the column that you need. It functions exactly same as SQL query, where we use select employee aware of health and safety, comma, safety standards implemented from the data set. Okay, this is usually the pattern of SQL query will be like that. Okay, now we got the answer. This is how we can select data. For example, some of the times what happens is we need to select all these things and exclude these two. Then to include all those things in selected attributes list, it will be difficult for a researcher. So what we do is the things that we can exclude, if they are minimum, I mean they are small in number. I mean, for example, these two should be excluded from the data. Then we can select here and we select this. Okay, we select invert selection. Invert selection means whatever the data that is selected, whatever the attributes that are selected, that should be ignored, and remaining all should be displayed. Now what happens? I have selected that, right? Let me run it. You can see that all other columns are displayed and the columns that are selected are ignored. Okay, this is how we perform select attribute activity. Got it, guys? For example, to perform some of the activities like linear regression model, or covariance, something like that, we need only binomial data and numerical data. Okay, it cannot, those activities cannot be performed on polynomial, means textual content. Okay, we cannot perform those activities on text content. So what we do is, like, we usually exclude text content, or we convert text content into numerical values. Understood? So to exclude that kind of content from the data set that we are using to perform linear regression or something else, we will be using select attributes. Or to establish relationship between two or other number of factors, we will be selecting those factors from the data set rather than using complete data set. Okay, this is how select attribute is used, and this is how we can exclude some of the data that is existing in the data set from our use. That's it, guys. I hope you had a good learning experience. You try to practice this with multiple attributes, and when selecting different type attributes, and remember the purpose for which we will be using select attributes. Thank you, guys. I'm signing off. Bye.